tell you, this is my first win back, and I know Anderson's here. He's a great guy, but I'm on my way back to you, baby. I don't know where you are, but I'm getting that belt back.
Going back to the conversation that Dana and I had in March, it went something like this. After I won my fight, Dana looks at me and he says, tell him we'll do the rematch in Cincinnati. And I was like, don't promise something that he just tell him we'll do the rematch in Cincinnati. And that's pretty much how the conversation went.
Silva's definitely a well-spoken man, but let me tell you something, he is a champion. I just talked to Dana and he said we could do the rematch in Cincinnati.
I wasn't pulling to bring the fight here, because I mean, it's great having the fight in Cincinnati and the hometown fans. They get to see all this stuff and everything. But for myself, I realized before the fight was even coming that if there was ever to be a fight here, that would be a tremendous amount of pressure on myself. So it obviously wasn't something that I was politicking for,
Eu fiquei muito feliz. I was very happy. I was real happy to be able to give Rich Franklin the same opportunity that he gave me a few fights ago, and fighting in his hometown didn't bother me at all.
That fight was a year ago. I had a lot of things going on in my life personally, outside of fighting, and it's like taking your eye off the ball when you're swinging a bat, But when you're the champion, you've defended your title for a couple times, you think, oh, you know what, it's nothing. I can deal with this. I'm good enough that I can deal with this. And you just can't do that against fighters like Anderson. They're too good. So I paid the price.
Fowler's in trouble. Rich is in trouble. Rich is in trouble. Anderson Silva. Defeats Franklin. And it's over.
Eu acho que toda luta. I believe that every time you fight, you take different things from a fight. I believe what I took from the first fight with Rich Franklin, I was able to sit back and watch some of the mistakes I've made and some of the things I did right. And as a fighter, I'm always trying to improve, and that's what I try to get from all of my fights. I try to come away from the fights learning something, looking at the things I've done right, and trying to correct the things I do wrong.
At first, I was trying to block the initial fight with Silva out. Fans and analysts, they try to think of excuses or reasons or whatever. You still got to look at the fight, look at what he did well, look at what he didn't do well, look at what I did well and what I didn't do well. There weren't very many check marks in the what I did well list, by the way. But, you just kind of, at that point, you go from blocking out to embracing it and using that film as film that you're going to analyze for what comes up for this fight. I mean, fighting's it's a game, man. There are wins and there are losses, and you can't win them all. And I lost that fight. I picked back up, won my next two fights, and this is just another fight. So, my dad calls me every day and gives me the same piece of advice about, let's do it to it this time, bud, or whatever he's going to say to me. And it's the same stuff. My parents and my family are really, really proud of what I've accomplished and everything. I'm just not done accomplishing yet.
Eu acho que muita coisa mudou. The way my life has changed since I became champion has been in a few ways. It's affected a little bit the way people deal with me at times. I seem to be treated a little bit different than I was before. As far as my training, nothing at all has changed. I still train the same way. I still do things like I've always done. I try to keep my life pretty much like it used to be. Eu procuro all the different things that I do to increase my training and it helps me with the training. My focus on my training and my goal is to try to be as accurate and as effective and efficient as possible, and to get in there and do my job as quickly as possible. The longer you're in there, the more time that you have to create a mistake. So my whole tactical strategy when I do my training is to go in there, do what I'm gotta do in the quickest amount of time possible and get out of there.
É isso aí. Só que você vai andando pra frente. Vai jogando o joelho pra pisar. Ele vai recuar. Você faz até uma viagem, cara. Ó, aí o cara vai dar uma bicada pra trás, ó. Pá!
A friend of mine, Tom Murphy, before. Previously, he'd introduced me to a friend of his, Brian Kane, who was a sports psychologist, and I started working with him a little bit, doing a lot of sports psychology stuff on top of that. So we kind of added that. I've added that to the mix as well. I mean, everything was different about the approach. I left town. I hired somebody from outside my camp to come in and work with us. We spent more time in films for this fight than I have any fight in the past. We took a camp of 10 people, and we had my coaches, Rob, Neal, and Mike, and then brought out Matt Hume. George was there, myself. The whole time that I was out in Wyoming, I mean, the team was completely not just focused on me, but focused on helping me with the things that I needed to do to better myself for this fight. The way that those guys just kind of gave themselves up and for 3 weeks to train and really help me out, it means a lot. And that's kind of the atmosphere that we have there, you know. And I'm the type of person, of course, after my fight, I'm going to take a little bit of time off, but I'll be back in the gym returning the favors to all the people that help me out, and that's just the way that things work for us.
One thing I really worry about is when you get that underhook, just keep it always tight, even when you're sleeping. Keep the underhook, don't give him a chance to get the underhook back, he'll get messed up. And grind him like that when you get that underhook, don't let go. Get the underhook is equal to submission, this fight's over.
For this fight, I got to work a little more wrestling. Well, I mean, I worked wrestling before, but I got to work with better wrestlers. So, you know, you had Forrest, Mike Whitehead. There's a couple other good wrestlers, and that'll help in this fight because Schaefer probably tried to take me down, and feel like I've improved my takedown defense working that.
How you gonna sprawl the chicken, remember? Yeah. Okay? I lock like that, then I go. I hold in maybe 50%, then I go improve more. Yeah.
Been doing jiu-jitsu with Sergio Pena. He's a great jiu-jitsu teacher, legend Brazil, and it's good. You know, Carlson passed away, last January, so I really haven't had a jiu-jitsu coach since then until now.
Me and Stefan, we share the same striking coach, or we shared, I should say, Duke Rufus out of Milwaukee. So he'd come up, train with Duke, and when I was there, we train a little bit.
Level change over him.
We know each other's game a little bit, and even if I never train with him, it's the same game plan. He probably knows that he doesn't want to go the ground with me because he's experienced it, and I know his striking's pretty sweet, so I better stay away from there.
There it is. See?
The good thing, though, I get to keep Duke on my campus, so all the little secrets, what's he do good, what's he do bad, what should I avoid, I get to keep the coach, so if anyone has a benefit, it's me.
Oh, let me up.
Duke's in his corner, he can't come in there and kick my legs, so that's a plus. You know a little bit about each other's game.
That's it. He's coming for that takedown. Don't stand in front of him. Angle. Angle. If you're in front of him, he's still coming. He's going to get there. Because he's going to go, come on, let's trade. And you're going to stay like this, and then he's going to go under. Okay, 1, 2.
I've been working with Mark Delagrade for the past couple years as well. I took a lot of trips out to Boston to work with Mark, and you know, Delagrade is one of the best Thai coaches around, and you know, so is Duke. So yeah, I got a chance to learn from both of them, and you know, I'm glad. Even though Duke's not in my corner, I got Mark, so it's all good.
I was a little worried because I haven't seen him in a couple weeks, and he's in the Vegas sun all the time, and who knows what's going on out there, but looks to me like he's been doing his homework. He's in shape. That's a good thing. Now, if we can get him to leave that phone in the locker room and not bring it in the octagon, we'll be all right.
Our enemy from Chicago, Bonner. We used to let him over the border. Now he's not allowed. He left the Midwest. Yeah, trader. Vegas guy now.
I only had to cut like 2.5, and my lazy ass only cut 2. A little bit more always comes off, you know?
Yeah,
I'm just like this, you know?
First things first, I am the biggest UFC fan I know. I've been watching this, you know, we used to get the VHS tapes back in the day, and me and my father would watch them. I'm a fan. I love fighting, and to this day, I like finishing. You see these guys who point fighters, they get a lead and they'll coast it in. I hate that kind of fighter, so I go for the kill. And that's because that's what I want to see. I love jiu-jitsu, I love submissions, I love knockouts, and the fans do too. I'll be the first guy to say that certain fighters are bad dudes, but I hate watching them. And I'm a fighter. As far as the jiu-jitsu guy goes, I'm not a holder. I go for the kill, and I think they appreciate that. And Stefan, even though he's had a lot of decisions, keeps going too, so I think they like our kind of fighters, so the fans are going to love this one, I think.
As a fighter, I feel that when the fans see me, they need to be entertained, you know? It's not hard to do. It's not something I have to think about. Like, I'm going to go in there and fight, you know? I'm not going to try to win, try to outpoint them. I'm going to go in there and fight and try to beat them up, and I don't think I'll have a problem as long as I go in there and do what I do, which is bring the fight, go after them, and try to make it violent, bloody, and aggressive, and just, you know, all these last couple months of training, you know, come down to this.
I think there's a little bit of some fight history in this town and everything. And with MMA growing and UFC, everything catching on like this, it's in having a hometown guy that's been a title holder here from Cincinnati and everything. And now that the fight's here, it's just more and more the fight scene is growing back in Cincinnati again.
Eu acho que having my team with me is very, very important. I believe that 90% of what happens is because my team is there. The fight begins with me the minute I weigh in. The minute I weigh in, I do the face-off, that's when the fight begins to me. And my team is there for me from that moment on, just reassuring me, being there, making sure I'm taken care of. While I'm in the fight, all the movements that I make, 90% of all that is because of them. They've been there. I've experienced all these situations with them. So, I mean, they played a huge part of my success. If it wasn't for them, who knows where I would be.